Welcome to my show. I'm Driti Atri and this is TimesXP. Welcome to our top news headlines from around the globe. So let's start with it. Well, Russia boasts Iran military aviation power. Russia is reportedly strengthening Iran's defense by supporting advanced combat aviation upgrades. Well, this particular move signals deeper military cooperation between two nations under Western sanctions. Well, this development is being closely watched by NATO, Israel, and Washington. It can really reshape the Middle East military balance. Mi-28 Night Hunter helicopter raises global alarms. Why? Because the Mi-28 is a high-tech attack helicopter designed to destroy tanks and fortified targets. It operates effectively in darkness using advanced radar and night vision system. Analysts believe that it enhances Iran's offensive and defensive air combat reach. Russia expands armed partnership amid the sanctions. Facing Western economic sanctions, Russia is shifting defense exports towards Middle Eastern allies. Iran has emerged as a strategic military partner in this shift. While both the nations share tension with the United States and Western allies, their cooperation reflects a growing anti-Western defense bloc. Massive missile assault hits Ukraine's capital. Kyiv recently faced one of the most intense aerial attacks in weeks. Russia reportedly attacked hypersonic missiles, ballistic weapons, and drone swarms. While the strike targeted energy facility and civilian zones, Ukrainian officials warn infrastructure damage could trigger nationwide blackout. Energy infrastructure becomes war target here. Russia's strike on Ukraine's power plant aimed to cripple essential services. Well, destroyed electricity network disrupts hospitals, communication system, and heating facilities as well. Winter condition makes such attacks particularly devastating for the civilians. Energy warfare has become central to modern battlefield strategy. Maternity hospital strike sparks global outrage. Well, a recent missile strike damaged a maternity hospital in southern Ukraine. Well, the attack intensified international criticism and humanitarian concern. Civilian casualties have increased global calls for accountability now. Well, this particular incident highlights the war's growing human cost. Peace talks shadowed by fresh sanctions here. Missile attacks occurred just days before planned US-brokered peace talks in Abu Dhabi. Ukraine claims that Russia broke informal ceasefire expectations during winter. Now, such escalation complicates diplomatic negotiations here. Analysts question whether talks are genuine or tactical pauses. United States cuts tariff on Indian goods by 18%. That's right. The US announced major tariff reduction on Indian exports. This particular decision boosts Indian businesses and strengthens bilateral trade relationship. Lower tariff makes Indian products more competitive in American markets. Well, this particular move signals deepening economic cooperation between the two nations. Lindsey Graham links trade relief to Russian oil cuts. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham suggested that India earned tariff benefits by reducing Russian oil import. His remarks connected trade incentives to geopolitical alignment. The statement sparked debate in diplomatic circles. It reflects Washington's strategic expectation from the global partner. India balances between US and Russia. India continues maintaining strong ties with both Washington and Moscow. Russian oil imports helped India stabilize fuel prices during global disruption, and in the meantime, India is expanding defense and technology cooperation with the US. While this balancing act defines New Delhi's foreign policy strategy. Trade deals becoming strategic power tool. Modern trade agreements increasingly reflect geopolitical alliances. Economic incentives, they are often linked to security and diplomatic cooperation. While the US-India deal highlights this evolving global trade pattern, trade is now a major instrument of international power politics. Iran announces offensive defense doctrine. Iran's military leadership revealed a shift towards aggressive defensive strategy here. The doctrine suggests Iran may strike preemptively if it sees the threat. Well, the announcement signals increased regional military readiness. It also acts as deterrence messaging towards the US and Israel. Iran warns US bases could become the targets. Iran's top commander warned that American forces in the Middle East would not remain safe in war. Thousands of US troops they are stationed across Gulf nations. While the warning escalates military tensions across the region, it also increases global security concerns. Iran accuses CIA and Mossad of destabilization. Iran alleges that the US and Israeli intelligence agencies supported the unrest within its border. Western governments strongly deny the accusations, though. Iran uses such claims to strengthen the domestic unity and political messaging. Intelligence rivalry remains a key element of the Middle Eastern politics. Russian military aircraft landing in Cuba, it raises the Cold War fear. A Russian Second 76 cargo aircraft landed at a Cuban airbase near the US territory. This particular aircraft is linked to transporting the military equipment in the past. While the event triggers security monitoring in Washington, it revived the Cold War era geopolitical tensions in the Caribbean. Cuba becomes strategic flashpoint again. Well, Russia's growing military support for Cuba challenges the US regional influence. Havana continues balancing economic survival with geopolitical alliances. Well, Moscow's backing strengthens Cuba against the American pressure. Well, the development signals expanding the global power competition. Russia claims Iskander missile destroyed HIMARS. Moscow released drone footage claiming destruction of a US-supplied HIMARS launcher. The HIMARS system has been very important to Ukraine's battlefield strategy. But if confirmed, then the strike marks a significant tactical success for Russia. Well, the claim highlights growing missile warfare intensity. Precision missile warfare dominates Ukraine conflict. Both Russia and Ukraine increasingly rely on long-range missile systems. Surveillance drones and advanced artillery, they define the modern combat tactics here. Well, technology now plays a decisive role in the battlefield outcomes. The war is becoming a high-tech military contest. Khamenei accuses US of supporting ISIS creation. Iran's supreme leader revived controversial allegations linked to the US to ISIS formation. Washington and its allies, they strongly reject the claim. Well, the accusation reflects Iran's long-standing geopolitical narrative here. Such rhetoric intensifies global diplomacy. Iran signals conditional return to nuclear talks despite the harsh rhetoric. Well, Iran hinted at possible nuclear negotiations with Washington. Diplomatic talks could reduce sanctions and regional tensions here. However, mutual distrust it remains extremely high. Negotiations remain fragile and uncertain. Jordan blocks airspace for attacks on Iran. That's right. Jordan declares its territory and skies will not be used for military strikes against Iran. Well, the decision limits possible operational routes for Western forces here. It highlights growing caution among the US regional allies. Jordan prioritizes national security and regional stability now. Gulf nations quietly urge restraint. That's right, Saudi Arabia and the UAE reportedly advocate diplomatic solutions over military conflict. Both nations fear retaliation targeting oil infrastructure and cities. Well, they continue balancing relationships with Washington and Tehran. Regional powers increasingly prioritize stability now. Israel signals readiness for all military scenarios here. Israel has declared preparedness for potential confrontation with Iran. Defense forces are strengthening surveillance and missile defense system. Israel considers Iran's nuclear ambitions a major regional threat. Well, the readiness increases the regional conflict risk further. Istanbul talks offer fragile diplomatic hope. The US and Iran are preparing for diplomatic discussions in Istanbul. Talks may focus on nuclear restrictions and sanction relief. Rising military tension threaten negotiation success. Diplomacy remains a thin line preventing the escalation now. Greenland rejects the US strategic pressure. Greenland's Prime Minister declared that the island is not for sale. The statement responded to renewed American strategic interest in the Arctic territory here. Greenland seeks autonomy and protection from superpower competition, while the issue tests Western alliance dynamics. Arctic resources trigger global power race. Greenland holds rare minerals, oil reserves, and emerging shipping routes here. Melting polar ice, it is unlocking economic and military opportunity here. Well, the Arctic is becoming a new geopolitical battlefield. Major global powers are expanding their presence over there. Russia and China challenge the West in Arctic influence. Well, Russia is expanding military bases across its Arctic coastline. China is investing heavily in Arctic shipping and mining projects. While both the nations challenge Western strategic dominance here, the Arctic rivalry reflects future global power competition. Iranian rapper calls for foreign political support. Well, Iranian rapper Miraj Tehrani, he appealed for international involvement in Iran's political change here. His statement sparked global debate about foreign intervention. Artistic expression in Iran often carries political risk, while the incident reflects youth frustration and internal dissent. Russia warns US-Iran war could trigger global conflict here. Russian officials caution that American strike on Iran could escalate worldwide tension. While the warning reflects fear of multi-nation military escalation, it also raises nuclear confrontation concern. Global powers are closely monitoring the developments. Strait of Hormuz remains world's most dangerous oil route today. Nearly one-fifth of global oil shipments passes through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has hinted that it could disrupt shipping routes during the war. While any blockade could cause massive global energy price spikes here, the choke point remains central to global economic stability. And with that, that's a wrap-up of our 30 news bulletins from around the globe. From Iran to the United States, from Israel to Jordan, the world is changing and so is geopolitics, and me, Driti Atri on TimesXP is here to give you all the latest updates and keep you updated. Thanks for coming.